Hello and welcome to today's show. My name is Ariella Indigo and I'm your host for Season 2 of the Multidimensional Human Experience Global Summit. The major reason for creating this summit is to share with you, the viewer, all about the ascension process and to give you additional insight and tools as to how you can consciously embody your higher divinity in this lifetime. The topic of ascension has become one of fascination to me after going through a huge activation about 3 years ago now, when a lot of so-called strange psychic and supernatural phenomena occurred, when I went through what I now understand to be the soul merge or soul absorption process, which is a stage on the ascension journey. It was pretty scary at the time as I didn't understand what was happening to me, and it came with a major health crisis as well. So I mistakenly thought I was actually dying instead of going through a life, death, rebirth cycle. And then about 18 months after that, once I'd had some integration time, I then started to merge back in with my spiritual lineage, otherwise known as the oversoul or monad, which was another bizarre experience, quite honestly. And again, I had little understanding of what was happening to me from a big picture perspective. So it's become a bit of a passion of mine to raise awareness about ascension and how it affects us uniquely in this incredibly important, but also incredibly natural process that affects all of us, and to share information with others on their spiritual evolution paths. Today, I have the great honor of welcoming back two of both mine and the viewers' favorites from season 1, Gail and Gregory Hoag from Metaforms, who have been on the path now for many years, teaching and sharing their wisdom with many around the globe. And they're mainly recognized as experts on sacred geometric technologies, which they work with and create incredible products for by these awesome physical energetic tools which assist with people evolving into higher awareness and heart consciousness, and also assisting in improving health, raising consciousness, reducing stress, and I can attest to this, I'll tell you a story later, manifesting purpose and clearing away electromagnetic interference. Gail and Gregory, thank you so much for being here and a very warm welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Ariella. We've really been looking forward to this. We had a lot of fun last time. And, you know, a lot's happened since that last interview that we had. And it was great also to hear your story in detail. Each one of us does have our unique story, you know, what activated each one of us, so that we could truly come back home to who we are, which is our higher purpose here in this lifetime.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you for having us back. It's really fun. It's always wonderful to share with people about this topic that once you start going through shifts in your life, you realize, you know, this is why I'm here, to be of service to others and help them do the same. Because we're discovering more and more how closely tied we all are. And even though we have been speaking to this in the New Age community, that we are all one, we are, each of us, starting to discover that in our lives more and more. And that's what's exciting about this show and what we have to share with everyone today.
Well, I absolutely loved interviewing you guys last time. You had so much depth of knowledge and wisdom, and your experience on the path, it really shines through. So I'm excited to share more with our viewers in this season, all about the ascension process. And I remember from last time, Gail, you shared about your awakening story and with the channeling. And Gregory, I know for you it was a Kundalini activation. And many of our viewers are writing into me and asking about how Kundalini plays a role in the ascension process. A lot of people are asking how they can activate it. So I wondered if I could just ask you to share from your own personal experience about Kundalini awakening and what your advice really is to the viewers about that.
What Kundalini awakening is all about, it's a Hindi term because they became aware of it thousands of years ago, that as a human being advances in consciousness, they become a conduit between heaven and earth, between soul and this physical 3D reality. And so what Kundalini is an energy moving up through the earth, through your body, through the different chakras, coming up through the first chakra, the second, and so on, until it creates an entire circuit moving up through the higher chakras, in through the Antakarana, which is the cord, the silver cord that's often referred to, that is connecting us to soul. So even though it seems like this is a linear thing I'm describing, it's multidimensional. And what that means is, as this energy starts going through us, we start expanding who we are on the other multidimensional levels of being. Because you see, only about 10% of us shows up here. The other 90%, like an iceberg, is hidden underwater. For us, it's hidden in the subtler dimensions. And so as the Kundalini flows, it activates those different aspects of our being. So we start operating and understanding fourth dimensional aspects of consciousness, where we're working with the emotions, and we start often being able to ascertain or see or understand what another's going through emotionally. We start to work on higher dimensional levels where we can work with the intellect, where we can work with just the higher consciousness aspects of our being.
Mm-hmm.
And something, well, I'm sorry, but you asked me about this beforehand, and you said, how can people activate their Kundalini?
Yes.
I want to say that it's something that either with an instructor and a very good teacher, or for me, it was spontaneously was activated by me spending time in a very powerful pyramid with crystals. And it was something that was really meant to happen when it happened. But as you described, when this was going on for me, I didn't fully understand right away what was happening. And the energy was coming up from the earth so strongly that holes were being burned in my feet. And my nervous system felt like it was on fire at times. And I had to avoid being around groups of people. I had to look at what I ate and be very cautious, eat more root vegetables, connect more to the earth. I had to, of course, avoid all alcohol, drugs, sex, anything that would be stimulating. I couldn't even meditate because that was too stimulating. So it's a natural progression if we do what it is in front of us for our spiritual growth. I think that's always the best path to take, rather than trying to create a particular effect or trying to stimulate Kundalini can sometimes push us over the edge the other way. So work with your guidance, work with consciousness, and be always grateful for where you are, and don't try to force anything. It will all happen in its good time. And if we try to force something that isn't meant to be, it can set us back in our spiritual progression rather than take us forward.
Great advice. Yeah, I thank you for sharing so honestly on that. What I would like to know, I mean, people talk about Kundalini awakenings, and then they talk about other types of awakenings. Is the Kundalini being activated always a part of every single awakening experience? And are there just degrees of intensity? How do you understand that?
To a certain extent, that's very true. That it's always part of a greater awakening and knowing. And that's what Gail's been going through. In recent years especially, she's been going through a lot more Kundalini. And again, it was something where she would say, I'm feeling this, I'm experiencing this. Is this Kundalini? You know, and so speak for yourself.
I think that particularly with the energies that those of us who are sensitive to what's going on and are able to work with the higher dimensional levels, we start experiencing sometimes very unique things happening in our physical bodies.
Yeah.
And it's not what we're used to. You know, it doesn't always feel normal. So as our bodies in some ways are being rewired, as we're learning how to move into the relationship of experience our lives through the heart rather than through the mind, we get the opportunity to kind of like, kind of reinvent ourselves, understand things differently. And so all these different systems are coming online. Like Gregory was saying before, just a very small percentage of us, even though we tend to dote on that part in our physical lives, but a very small part of ourselves is who we are. And so when we begin to incorporate the other aspects of ourselves and we're able to integrate more and more the soul energy or the oversoul, as you were saying before, working with our higher guidance, then everything seems to shift and we begin to understand how capable we are of so much more than we were taught, than we even may have imagined. And I think that's a lot of what this journey is about, to go way outside of this little container of what is a physical life and be able to incorporate all of these grand dimensions. You know, our power, our true light and love is really our ability to access the higher dimensions of who we are. And that's where we have dedicated our lives the last, 33 years to finding ways of supporting people to be able to access the higher realms of who they are. And we found that sacred geometry and the technologies that we've been able to develop with, certainly with tremendous help from guidance, is just key for being able to go beyond who we are.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I can, as I say, I can attest to your incredible technologies.
So when we speak of the higher dimensional realms, that's what we mean by increasing consciousness. And that's really the main purpose of being a human being. And that's what ascension is all about, it's expanding your consciousness to ascend to the higher dimensional levels. But it's not about leaving the physical 3D character. You still, have been given this wonderful opportunity to be in this dimension of learning, this dimension of sharing love. And that's what's so key in understanding the ascension process is about connecting on those higher dimensional levels and then bringing that energy in here and manifesting it here and being of service here. Because when you're of service to others to help them in their process, or whatever you're doing that in your life that can be supporting the growth and the well-being and the increase in consciousness of other beings through the way you cook, the way you dance, the way you create art, the way you operate your business, the way you do things, you know, in every aspect. We are all so unique. We can choose the method that really turns us on, that lights us up, and allows us to be of service to others. Because that's one of the strongest ways for you to go through spiritual growth and be supported, is because when you're supporting others, then the universe supports you. Because moving toward unity, that aspect that all of us are moving back into, that's filled with connection and love. And anything in the world that isn't working with love, that's working with fear or any of the negative emotions, or anything that's working with separation, that's something I would suggest steering away from. Come back toward unity, come back toward love, and you'll always be, you know, in safe company.
You know, I think that the physical experience is such a perfect platform for our learning. And I really truly believe that our souls have designed this so that we get what we need, that resistance, those experiences, the relationships, so that we can polish the facets of who we are. We can keep growing. I truly believe that the mission, or, you know, a mission that we have here on this planet, is to bring that higher consciousness, that love, that light vibration here into physical manifestation. And, you know, everything is a lot easier before it becomes physical, you know? I mean, for instance, even in like your dreams, when you dream something, it's so fluid and easy, you can dream up anything. And then when it comes down to manifesting, bringing it physical realm, you know, even with a relationship, you can dream about having a fabulous relationship, and then you start to interact with somebody else, and all this other stuff starts to happen, because that's part of the dynamics of physicality. We get a chance to really see and be with all of these different possibilities. You know, that's sort of the quantum way of looking at it, the realm of all of these possibilities. And as we become more aware, as we grow, as we polish the facets of our being, as we understand unity and love, we can incorporate that here on this planet. And this physical planet will take those vibrations. You know, when you walk into a room where people have been meditating, or where people have been doing something of a beautiful, harmonious, and loving nature, you feel it, and it feels wonderful. And on the other hand, if you walk into a room where there's been tremendous chaos and, you know, some very difficult things have been dealt with, you're going to feel that as well. The energy gets to be implanted. Well, even though we were raised, many of us, to not really be able to understand and work from our creativity, we are co-creators. We are creative beings. The more that we get that and realize that everything that we do and what we say, what we create, is affecting this dimension. Yeah. And so bringing greater consciousness, working through that heart-centered, or what we call soul-centered intelligence, paints a different structure for this dimension. And we are here to do that now. And it's such an honor to be here. I truly believe our souls have chosen this time for us to to be here and participate with each other in ways that we've been waiting for, that we haven't quite been able to do before. So it's pretty juicy. It's an amazing time that we're here experiencing.
So exciting. Yes, thank you for everything that you've shared there, and for our viewers, all of the incredible light workers that are tuning into this, and starseeds and empaths, and whatever it is that you call themselves. Like you say, we've all chosen to be here and to play a part in this incredible evolutionary stage on our planet is just really something. What I'd like to ask you guys, it's actually picking up on something that that Gregory spoke about with regards to separation. Obviously, there's many degrees of separation, and I should think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all three of us have been channels in some way, right? We're all channels, we're all conduits, and we've had visitations perhaps, or met with guides in one way, shape or another. What I want to know, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers can feel into this, the channels, the conduits, the ones who have met their guides, how can we go from having this separate experience of us being here, our guides being there, what we're channeling into us, to just embodying all that is and just claiming it as us, not them and us?
That's a great question. I love that question, and it's really an important one. We see things in a very separate way, coming into a singular body. Before we embody, we're in unity, we're in wholeness. And then we come into this body, and what a dramatic experience. If you've ever been to a birth, or you've birthed your own child, you see this being who comes into this body, and they kind of look around. It's like, wow, you can almost imagine that they had just been experiencing this cosmic unity, and all of a sudden here they are, and they have eyes that see this singular dimension, and they're feeling a body, and they're experiencing things that they haven't experienced before. Wow, it's pretty profoundly different. And then we go through training that keeps giving us more and more information that helps us understand our individuality. Well, it's important because that's part of the physical experience, is to master our individuality, and then to be able to understand it as an illusion. Because what is truly real is the unity, the oneness. When we experience a deep, profound meditation, or we're in a room where there's this incredible chanting or dancing, or something that brings us into this sense of awesome oneness, it's amazing. It's an amazing experience. But we have to remember that the physical experience wants us to master our individual body and bring it into the oneness. Mm. And that's kind of a duality. It's an interesting thing. As we keep reminding ourselves, when we are interacting with our guides, when we're experiencing our lives on a higher dimensional level, that's not just affected by, what we see on the news and what, our experiences in the moment, but reconnecting it with what really is reality, what really is love, then we start to blend this universality into our physical singularity. And you know, there's words are sometimes hard to really pinpoint for this. I would just say that understand that what you experience on those higher levels, when you work from the soul experience, when you just drop down and just feel the wisdom and the great love of the heart, when you're in that mode, there is no separation. And that is reality. That is truly what we're here to master in this physical body.
Mm.
Do you have some thoughts on that as well?
Well, you were saying it. The doorway is the heart. When we spend time in our heads, when we spend time in our egos, when we go through things and we have negative emotions disconnect us from higher self and soul. They block the heart. When we're feeling guilty, when we're feeling sad, when we feel any of those things, the heart is blocked. And so, and when we're in our heads, we're not in our heart. And when we're in our ego and we're thinking about me and, oh my God, you know, how come I'm not getting this for my life instead of they are? And, you know, all these things are part of this play that we are here to learn, as Gail was just saying, to learn from them. And it all comes down to walking toward the heart and moving through the doorway of the heart. Sometimes we talk about things coming from the heart. It's really better to say through the heart, because then you can start working with the higher aspects of yourself through the heart. And from that perspective, you start to not take this personality so personally. That's one of the big problems we have as human beings. We get caught up in this character. We take him personally. You know, someone bumps into my car and it's, you hit me. You know, you hurt me. And it's like, the more we move through the heart, expanding in consciousness to the higher parts of our being, the more we can start to appreciate the play that's going on. Then you see the synchronicities, and they can happen more and more and more, because you're playing with the universe. You're playing with yourself on the bigger, grander scheme. Who knows you better than your higher self? Who is feeding you this information? It's you, loving you, helping you expand into the grandness of you. And that's a powerful game to start playing. And what we can do for each other is to keep reminding each other to play the only game in town, which is falling in love with the bigger part of you and manifesting it on this planet through being of service to others, bringing that love in.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you both so much. And I love those synchronicities. They're just so special, aren't they?
You know, just before we started this program, you were talking about our land. And I said, oh, I have a picture I can put behind us when we're together. And so that's what I did. And that's what people are looking at right here. It's from our house looking east toward high cliffs and a river. Now, right down there, I've dug a really deep pond. And so we have pond for ice skating and playing in the winter. And then we have a couple 100 acres of vortexes and beautiful spaces where the devas play, and we have lots of wild animals, and I make trails where the deer and the elk go. And sometimes we run into the deer and the elk Sometimes we run into mountain lions and bear
Wow.
and bobcats and rattlesnakes and coyotes and all kinds of stuff.
And you know, it's so important to work with the environment. And I can only tell you that, you know, there are days where I'm sitting in front of a computer, I'm doing work, I'm, you know, doing whatever I'm doing, and I just feel like, oh, I've got to get outside. And within seconds of being outside, taking a walk, we're so blessed to have this exquisite land where we live, and the energy is absolutely spectacular. Just stepping on the land, walking, you know, by the river, getting onto the rocks, whatever, wherever your favorite place is, get out there and be there, because that's part of the connection. It's part of how we can really learn how to incorporate and express our lives as unity, instead of getting, you know, into that little box where, you know, we just are sort of self-absorbed. So it's part of the balance. And nature is such an exquisite gift to us. And just want to be able to give back to nature again, too, because Mother Earth gives us so much. And so the more we love Mother Earth, there's happiness there, there's joy on all ends.
Absolutely.
So I encourage you to get out there and play.
Absolutely. It was so, and I'm sure all of our viewers are feeling into this. Thank you for talking about that, because it is such an important part, isn't it, of the ascension process and the healing process. And particularly when you're going through those very sensitive stages, and you can't, when you said it, Gregory, you know, sometimes you can't tolerate being around other people, and you just have to really go into yourself. And yeah, just spending some time out in nature, in the sunshine, if you can find a bit. In the UK, it's not as easy as where you guys are, but it's been so healing. Whereabouts are you? Just whereabouts? Because I mean, this looks absolutely breathtaking.
Well, we're in the state of Colorado. We're in a small town called Lyons. And Lyons is on the way to Rocky Mountain National Park, which is an absolutely spectacular park where you can experience high mountains. So we have lots of like 14,000-foot mountains around us. And so we're in the foothills with these beautiful cliffs behind us and a river down in front of our home. And we are about 15 minutes from a small town, and the energy is so beautiful. It's really, we're not isolated because we do have other people that have homes near us. However, there's quiet, there's a real sense of appreciation for nature here. And the energy is just smooth and beautiful. And we were guided to be here. You know, we've been working with guides really for so long. Before I met Gregory, I was working with guides and channeling, and realizing that there were all kinds of higher level entities to work with. And they have been with us. And it's interesting, just recently, because before in the past, we would ask, well, do you have a name? Because people like names. And, you know, I would get answers like, well, you can call us whatever you want. It doesn't matter, because there's unity from that level. So recently I asked, and I said, you know, it is kind of fun for people to relate to some kind of a name. So what can we call you? And they said, you can call us the loved ones.
Wow.
And so that's how we're kind of languaging that now. And everyone has their guides, masters, angels, whatever you want to call them, around them. And it's really wonderful just to start cultivating that relationship more and more. It is a blessing. And it's an opportunity, again, to get out of the head and more into the heart, because our head wants to tell us all kinds of things, make up all kinds of stories about the way things are. But again, as creative, co-creative beings, when we are working through the heart, when we're living through the heart, and we're working with our guidance on those higher levels, everything is possible. That's really where our power and our creativity lies. So it's a very important thing to work with your guides.
So true, and a beautiful exploration as well. Yeah. And the land that you actually live on, and I've seen pictures of this. This is like super cool. You've got you've got all of the, because where are the sacred geometries where for your products and you put them in the vortexes? Where is all of that?
Okay. That is near our home. There, well, we have forms as high as 15, 20 feet high all over the property, couple hundred acres. And right next to our home, we have two very involved chambers that have a lot of forms spinning in them. We could take time if you want, where we could set up something where I can show you pictures, show you how these things are working. It's taken years to put all of this together. It boggles my head. If I were to try to do it from start right now, it'd be impossible to put all the pieces, but little piece has been added on to little piece. And so right next to our home, we put some of the tools that we create, like the Eye Connect and the Heart Companion. We put it into the chamber, and we work with a number of different geometries. We work with inner gases. We work with frequencies. We work with spinning geometries. Another chamber that goes on when the first chamber is on has a large tube putting different frequencies through it. I have on the outside wire wrappings counter to each other with fiber basalt. So you can get basalt as a yarn, and that's conductive, and that's on the outside. And then I have 4 or 5 different geometries. We're working with a very particular motor that we call the causal generator that spins everything at the precise speed it needs to spin. It works with bringing in certain frequencies that it broadcasts in the megahertz range. And to have a form spinning at the right speed, have other geometries also generating in the megahertz range, you start to create a field. People that visit our home, it's like in our bedroom, we have a Norfolk pine that I bought that's, about this big, about 6 or 7 years ago for my daughter for Christmas. And now it's a tree that's about 7, 8 feet high, and the plants grow so rapidly here.
Wow.
And there's just such a delightful energy. It's just using all these tools creates an incredible sense of relaxation and peace.
And something that's really interesting, like the Eye Connects and the Heart Companions, they're made with all of these different antenna systems and different crystalline, gem, rare earth metal mixes, and lots of different things in sacred geometry. And when they're all put together, you can feel them, and they feel like they're kind of like raw potential. Like they have a lot of energy and possibility, but they're not quite there yet. And that's where we put them into the chamber. And they spend at least 6 or 8 hours in the chamber, being rotated with all of these different energies and geometries. And when they come out of the chamber and you feel them, it's like they're baked. They have a real coherent field. Something has truly shifted so that what they hold is really capable of maintaining the quality of connection. I know, Ariella, we were talking a little bit before that you've been playing with the Advanced Eye Connect. And
Yes.
You could feel that, couldn't you? With that real sense of how you can connect at such a significant level.
Yeah, so my experience with this, my actual experience, and this happened very recently. So very kindly, I received an iConnect in the post so I could experiment with it. And basically, I have this fear of flying. It's not actually flying, it's not death, it's more that energetically I get extremely claustrophobic when I fly. So it's like a really challenging time for me. And I took this little iConnect with me. And I also took my favorite crystal on the plane. And as I was on the plane and I was starting to feel the anxiety coming on, I just reached into my bag and I thought, okay, one of these is going to support me. Which one is it? The iConnect or the crystal? And I just held both of them in my hand. And the crystal, which has been with me for many years now, it actually, it didn't help with the anxiety levels at all. In fact, it made me even a bit more anxious. And then as soon as I held on to the iConnect, I just felt more of a sense of peace. I felt more grounded in my body. And I held it throughout the whole of the flight, there and back. And I feel very attached to this now. You know, it really helped me. I sleep with it next to my bed every night. And I just held it in my hand and I said, I connect to peace. And it really helped me to get through what is quite a traumatic experience for me. So I thank you so much for it.
That's so wonderful. And, you know, it's the nature of a tool. You know, it's not like it does it to you, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes people will say, oh, well, will it protect me from whatever, you know? And what we always come back and say is it's not about protection. It's about connection. Because when you are connected, then you're in that place of unity. You're in your heart. You're in your capability of who you truly are, which is not to say that you aren't going to have challenges, because you will, because that's the nature of our lives. You will, however, be connected to be able to work through those challenges in more conscious ways. And, you know, that is the nature of a tool, learning how to work with it so that it makes your life. And we get stories like this all the time. And of course, with our lives, we've recognized this for all these years that we've been using these tools. It is consistently an amazing experience to be able to keep growing with something. And honestly, the more that you use it, the better it gets. Because you can keep applying more consciousness to it. You know, each day you take that eye connect, or if you have a heart companion or whatever, and you just hold it and you just go into that space of connecting with your higher being and set the intentions for what you choose to create, or just ask for your connection to bring what is of the highest for you in that day. Or if there's something going on the planet and you want to send more love, it's certainly something, because the coherent field that it's generating is reaching out all over the planet. It's, you know, it's quantum. So it's really, you can do so much with it.
Yeah, I've been meditating with it as well and just putting it on my heart chakra. And it does really help with the connection. Absolutely.
You can do that with any of your chakras, where you can put it on your third eye and work with that. But, you know, the point is what we've been talking about all this time about raising consciousness, about expanding to the bigger parts of your being. That's what this tool is supporting you in. That's why you feel less tense. This can support you with your intuition and your connection. It can support you in manifestation, what you want to create. We create from the higher parts of our being, and we create when we are in that field of love, when we're in that field of gratitude. And this is a tool that can clear away that pathway to allow you to walk in a space of gratitude, to walk in a space of love. And then what starts happening in your life, it appears to be magical. You'll be in the right place at the right time. And rather than be astounded by it, you know, as you had a good friend of ours on your program, Prageet, he often says, thank you, give me more. You know, thank you, universe, bring more on. You know, just create more in my life. I mean, we don't have to limit the flow of love. We don't have to limit the flow of opportunity, the flow of creation, the flow of joy. These are all things that are infinite in nature. And this is what we are doing with the tools that we create, is supporting people in walking that path of infinity. And it's just never ending. So work on your present life, work on your future lives, work on everything right now in the moment, because this is the most important place to be, is to be aware right now of each breath.
It was interesting because when I interviewed Prageet, he was wearing his heart companion. And I said, oh, I recognize that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like we have been working with Prageet for 27, 28 years, 30 years. I've been making his stargates and been making other forms. And so over time, we learned how to shrink those forms and put them on a two-dimensional surface. So that's the patterns that you see on the surface of your eye. Those are actually three aspects of each three-dimensional form. So it takes three aspects to create one form, and then I can broadcast three-dimensional energy like the Stargate into a small two-dimensional geometry that you can carry in your pocket, or like a heart companion you can wear around your neck.
They're really cool. I mean, they look great as well, and they're very interesting. Do you have any that you could show on the screen, or should I just hold mine?
We can. Let me bring something up on the screen.
Okay, we have a page on our website that is our special offer page.
Yes.
That also has the iConnects on there. There it is. Do you see that?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, so what we have over here is we've got the iConnects, and the iConnect that we started out with has a black tourmaline bead in the center of it. And that was just to kind of help ground the energies. After about a year or two, we had a request from someone actually in London who asked if we could put an emerald on the surface instead of the black tourmaline bead. And we said, well, we checked in with our guidance and got, sure, that would be great. So when our gal, who woman who does so much of our work, Amy, was doing it, I said, Amy, make some extra ones because I want to feel what that's like. And when I felt the advanced iConnect with the emerald bead, and it's not a bead, actually, it's a gem. It's a cabochon gem. I loved it. It just felt like something really sparked with that extra addition of the emerald energy, which just really helps to bring the heart energy more into play. So those are the two advanced eye connects that we're offering to everyone here, and we're giving you a special price. Normally, the eye connect is $198 with the black tourmaline, and the offer for you is $178. And the advanced eye connect with the emerald is usually $249, and it is for you $224. We're also offering to you a 2-payment plan if you like that, no interest or whatever, but 2 payments a month apart. You can choose that. And in addition, we are sending your way some attunements. And there's 2 special attunements that we created just for the Advanced Eye Connect. And then in addition to that, we also have some attunements, and you can scroll down a little bit more. We have some attunements that work with addiction. You know, a lot of people have some form of addictive behavior that we're working with. And so that attunement helps with dealing with and alleviating addictions and the energy of addictions. And then the last one is called Let Your Soul Be Your Co-Pilot, your autopilot. You know, so many times we get on autopilot and it's not the heart-centered soul energy. So working with these attunements will help you to be able to make that switch and allow that autopilot of you be more saturated with the soul vibrational energies. So all of the attunements that we do, what we do is, and Greg, if you can stop there, we have a system where we are putting different geometries on our causal generator. And while we're actually recording these attunements, these energies are part of it. They're both in the background while we're recording, and then we have tracks that we put over the audios that, or under the audios rather, that just bring these frequencies to you. So you're bathed in those frequencies. We suggest that you download these onto your phone, your MP3 player, whatever you have, and that way you can use them over and over again. You could be lying in bed, you could be on the plane using them, whatever. And again, the more you use all of this, the better it is. So it's really kind of fun to be able to work with these technologies and get them to work for you, and really to enhance your life.
Yeah, thank you so much. Beautiful. And just to clarify there, the price is given, you probably saw it on the screen, but it's in dollars. It's in US dollars.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because there's a few different currencies, because we're a global unity coming together. So the prices are all in dollars. Thank you so much. And the link to the webpage that you've just seen on the screen is in today's email that I'm sending you. So just click on that link and go and have a look at that webpage and feel into it with your heart and see if this is something that you feel will benefit you in your own ascension journey. It absolutely has mine. So I thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Guys, we're nearly out of time, but I have one very, it could be a quick question or a long question, but we'll have to make it a quick one. But just while I've got you, and because you two are this kind of beautiful, conscious couple, I know that a lot of our viewers are writing in and they're talking about relationships and ascension and people are having difficulties with that because one of the partners is perhaps going through ascension quicker than the other, and it can dislodge people. Would you mind just sharing a little bit about your success and how you've stayed together and made this work as a couple?
You know, that's a great question. We've been married now for 33 years.
Wow.
And yeah, and I have to say, you know, when Gregory was going through the Kundalini experience, we had not met yet. And there are times where I'll say, you know what, I'm actually glad because sometimes timing is perfect, you know, where the universe, this is about trusting the universe, trusting your soul, that there is that very special time when you do come together. And until that time, and really, and during that time when you're with someone, keep working on yourself. I think that is a critical part of a relationship, is to keep focusing on how you can be a more and more conscious, loving, centered being. And when you do that, you know, your partner doesn't have to meet you exactly where you are. You know, we all go through different things. And Greg and I have gone through different times in our relationship when we were in, you know, we were on different paths, you know, at different moments. And yet, when it came down to it, we always knew that we were here to support each other in the most loving and capable way that we could. You know, you can't control situations, you know, and if you try to control it, it will really, you know, kind of kill it. You have to instead, what's important is to go back into your heart space, to work through your, you know, whatever is going on with you. Find the answers within yourself as opposed to wanting somebody else to supply you what you need. And then that way you're two wholes coming together to form a greater whole, a greater synergy. What would you say?
You know, it's so important, like Gail was saying, to work on yourself and realize that the universe brought you together with this other person for reasons that may not be apparent at the moment. So go in search of those reasons by, first of all, you know, just starting to be grateful and start making a list for all the things that your partner is doing that you really do appreciate, that they, you know, maybe take extra effort to make sure things are clean or that are done for you in this way. And, you know, just each day start working on little things to be grateful for. Find those things to be grateful for. And you may start finding that things shift. I mean, we so much create our reality, even the reality that we're speaking of right now, where we have another person that's not growing at the same rate. So you think, so your mind is telling you. And it's the mind that wants to pick things apart, that wants to make things not work. That's what the ego does. But the heart looks for ways to make things work. The heart is what is expanding you and will help expand your partner, because that love, they want that love as much as you want that love. We all want that love. So start working with your heart and start sharing that love, and you may find things start transitioning, start transforming, rather than staying in the place of, why isn't he or she keeping up with me? Like, who am I to keep up with to begin with? So.
And, you know, intentions are, I really believe, are very important, along with working on yourself and doing, you know, doing that internal work. The intentions that we hold do color things. They're part of our palette. and take a look at the intentions that you're holding. What is it that you're looking for in that relationship? If it's something, that you're expecting someone else to do something for you to make you be a happier person, then you're going to be disappointed, because that's your job. It's not someone else's. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if you are looking for someone as a full-on partner, that you can be in a joyful state throughout your life. And honestly, through our lives, we're not always in joy. There's times we're in joy. There's times, where it's like, oh, phew, take a breath and just see the whole picture. Because, we can sometimes get a little misled by, some of the little detours that we take, but see that whole picture and really come back into that heart center.
And I wanted to say, we've had so many couples that have gotten the eye connect or the heart companion, which is similar, but you wear it around your neck and it works with energy in a little different way. Bottom line, I remember this one couple, they were in their late 70s and they came in and both bought one. And the next time they came back to the shop, he leaned over to me and he said, I really like this thing. She doesn't yell at me as much anymore. And she overheard us and she said, I don't have to. And so you see how it works with both of them in their unique way. She doesn't feel like she needs to. He doesn't feel like he's being scolded. And I've had so many couples get these tools and say their relationship has gone from rocky to smooth, where they no longer are arguing with each other. It's just something where when you feel that joy inside yourself, you don't project negativity out on others. You don't see a problem in the world because you don't feel a problem inside yourself. That's the nature of consciousness. That's the nature of higher connection. That's the nature of love. You don't feel love and then find what's unloving in the world. It's counter possible, counterintuitive. It just doesn't work. When you're in that space, the whole world is in that space with you. And everyone loves the lover.
Great answer. I love that. Thank you so much to both of you. Thank you, Gail and Gregory. This has just been a lovely interview. I knew it would be after season 1, and you guys have just got so much wisdom and you share from the heart, and I know our viewers are going to really appreciate the teachings and the insights that you have activated in them today. I know I certainly do. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Ariella. And to everyone out there, we appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. And I will see you tomorrow for another amazing interview. Thank you for tuning in.